the values of humanity and solidarity. He continued to say, it's paramount that refugees are treated humanly wherever their journey takes them. This includes both destination and transit countries. Germany is aware that refugees traveling through Western Balkan countries put a huge strain on administrative capacities, on transport networks, and on local communities. We will not leave you alone in this difficult situation. So, end of quotation marks, Steinmeier. The current crisis shows that among member states of the European Union there is a different understanding of when European values will have effect and who can benefit from them. The position of the German government is clear. In his speech, again, Frank-Walter Steinmeier concluded, I believe that it is our joint responsibility in Europe to help those in need. People fleeing from violent conflicts need our protection, and we must give it to them. That is our humanitarian duty. I believe that this crisis is a true test of what we actually mean when we speak of European solidarity. There is not a single country in Europe that will be able to tackle this challenge on its own. Therefore, close cooperation is of the essence. No one will deny, so end of quotation mark once again, Steinmeier, no one will deny the fact that we are facing tremendous challenges. We are convinced Germany and the rest of the European Union are strong enough to master the tasks that are ahead of us. I hope that's a start into your discussion of this topic, a very challenging discussion. Once you are watching TV, you see pictures all over Europe, the migrants crisis, so it's of paramount importance. I suppose you listened to the Juncker speech, President of the European Commission last week. Migrant crisis was of paramount interest as well. So good luck for your discussion, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Ambassador. I would like to say thank you to the government of Federal Republic of Germany for supporting us in all these years, and I hope we will continue with the cooperation because, according to our opinion, it is important for the young people from Southeastern European countries. We can open the discussion now. Do you have any comments, any questions? Nemanja?
Just want to say that you can also comment on Twitter, and we will see it over there, the questions.
It is too modern for me. You must help me. Okay, Nico.
Yeah. Can I? Oh, okay. First. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Nikos Papakostos. I represent a civic organization from Greece, from Athens, and my question to you would be about talking about values and values that should be supported by. This is too complicated for me as well. So, talking about values that can be imported by Western Balkan countries and Southeast European countries, Do you consider that there are values that need to be imported by the European Union coming from the Western Balkan countries? And if so, which values would those be?
So you asked the import from the Western Balkan countries towards the European Union, yeah? Okay. First of all, thank you for the question. So, firstly, whenever you talk to a Macedonian, and I stick to that, no problem for you.
No,
very good, very good. I really appreciate that. So, whenever you speak to a Macedonian politician, it doesn't matter it belongs to the government or the opposition, he is underlining that the first goal of Macedonian policy is the adherence to European Union and NATO. So there is no dispute about that. So they want to get member. What can they bring in? So, Macedonia is representing himself as a multi-ethnic, tolerant association or a state, modern state, and I think that's a very important, how to say, export article, how Albanians and Macedonians are living together. There are many rifts, everybody know about that, but that could be served as an example. Many has to be done. So to come back to the German soil, I always like, together with my French colleague, a woman as well, another woman ambassador, to give a good example of the Franco-German reconciliation work. So, and our big wish, not only our, but Macedonian wish as well, to have something like that, not only in Macedonia, but in the whole region. There's now memorandum of understanding signed, I quoted the Vienna summit on 27th of August. There's a memorandum of understanding to establish a kind of youth office here in this region as well. I think we should do so. We have now that memorandum of understanding, and before we spoke about it, how to give real life into it. I think I only can repeat that once more. It's very worth doing, and to export by that spirit of tolerance, multi-ethnic societies. That's something very valuable Macedonia could bring in on the road to Brussels. Thank you.
Second.
Your Excellency, my name is Nikola Rajčić. I'm from Serbia, and the Serbia provides European Union as a union of states ruled by the general common of rules by human rights, freedom of movements, religions, freedom. But what is the message of barbed wire on the building? Border. What is the... Okay, what is the message of border wire on a building in Hungary?
You see, this year we are celebrating, and sorry for not understanding, but I have a cold, and that's why my hearing is a little bit underdeveloped. No, it's my, I'm almost deaf, so once I had this kind of affection I had too much air conditioning these last 2 weeks, so it was utterly hot, and I got a little bit too much, so that's why, sorry. I wanted to say what we are going to celebrate our 25th day of German reconciliation in October. So in Skopje we will have that event on the 2nd of October. So for us, this was a sign of tearing down walls. So to come to an end was the Cold War. And now building walls and fences. So that's the total opposite. And it's not in the spirit of the European Union. So as I said, everybody knows, and I really can recommend you the Juncker speech. Even it's 21 pages long. I read it on the way to come here to Krusevo. It's very interesting. About 1/3 is about the migrants crisis, the challenge by the refugees. So it's very good stuff. Perhaps you could distribute. I think it's on the website, so you're interlinked, internet, everything is here. Juncker was very clear and very explicit too concerning walls and fences. So that's not the spirit of the European Union. As he said, so Europe needs more union, and the union itself needs more union as well. So it's playing with words, but that's what I would like to add. So.
And what will you do about that border in Hungary? About their wall?
What to do with Hungary, or?
Like German, what will you tell Hungary to do?
Screw
you. There's a constant discussion on that. So there are telephone calls. There's a lot of work done in Brussels. There will be a council of justice ministers within some days. I think it's the 14th, and it will be discussed. Though I know in public you can't see everything what's going on behind the scenes, but be aware. So it's without any doubt it's a major topic. How to come to a better, everybody is aware that the asylum policy as we have it now, and Juncker stated that in that speech, so there's work on this topic already since many, many years. So he started, or he named the year 2000 with asylum policy, but it's not sufficient nowadays. So we have to come to other terms, how to tackle this challenge. And of course, it would be, the best miracle would be to stop the conflicts at the source, Syria, Libya. Otherwise, we can't avoid the migrants' crisis, because Merkel and Steinmeier and Juncker and everybody is saying that it's understandable for a Syrian family to try to escape after almost 5 years of a terrible war. And that's not the only one in Syria, but there we have to stop, and there we have to find new initiative, new thinking to come to terms with the crisis at the origin. Otherwise, everything we are going to do with the migrant crisis will not last, because the flow is not going to end.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Yeah. I have a question also concerning the migration. What the German government is doing at the moment is dividing between economic immigration, which is kind of not really tolerated, especially from the Balkans, and on the other hand, immigration from Syria and war areas, which is okay. And considering that one of the biggest numbers of immigrants to Germany comes from Kosovo and also from Macedonia, so it's an important issue. And having that as background, German embassies in Kosovo and Albania made media campaigns in order to prevent people to immigrate to Germany, and kind of education campaigns, however you call it. So I would like to have the opinion of you about these campaigns, and if you also see this as a tool for the embassy in Skopje. Of
course. So you know that roughly, of Of course, these figures are changing every day, but one of the last figures I got that 43% of the asylum seekers are from Western Balkans origin. And everybody is well aware there is almost no hope to get asylum, either for Kosovo or for Albania or Macedonia. So it's below 1%. So people are sent back. And frankly, that's the right way. So it's not through the asylum way to come to Germany. So we have to find, and that's part of a legal package proposed last week, we have to come to other ways to channel immigration and legal immigration, but not, I wouldn't like to say that asylum is illegal, but it's the wrong way once we are looking for a job or better education, because there are no reasons. As I said, below 1% is the number of accepted asylum seekers from Kosovo. So there have new ways to be found, and one part of better information is this information campaign, as you called it. By the way, we have it as well in Skopje. We have it on the website, and whenever I have an interview and I'm asked, I'm speaking about that as well. So we have to come to better information, that's true. So we are thinking about kind of not a migration service, but on the ground better information as we have it in Kosovo. There's a new office informing on a constant basis about work possibilities in Germany, not using the asylum channel, but normal application once you are looking for a job in the health sector, something like that. We are discussing as well that we are a little bit split very often about that, because that goes hand in hand with a brain drain. These people, these educated people, are needed here in the countries as well. So they should stay here, perhaps for a certain time, come to Germany to work, coming back, because here the land or the countries of origin, be it Kosovo, be it Albania, be it Macedonia, they are in need of skilled persons. So that's one of the answers, and I don't have to tell you what about the influx of immigrants coming from Syria and Afghanistan. This morning I have seen on Euronews short information reportage on Freiburg, and I heard you are quite near from Freiburg. Freiburg is a university town with not so many, 200,000, something like that, inhabitants. But there's a new camp constructed now for immigrants coming, or for refugee seekers, and so this immigration, and probably we are going to have 800,000 refugees in Germany this year, only this year. And of course that's an enormous challenge for every village, for every town. And we try to tackle that. And I'm very happy that we have this welcome culture now. So, and I've seen it for Freiburg, and I'm proud about Freiburg that I see welcome to Freiburg. Everybody tries to help. Even at our small embassy in Skopje, we had a kind of collection, and a colleague of mine, he's traveling quite often to give Gelia and Tabanovce, and he's bringing blankets and things there to help. It's on a very small scale, but we are bringing water there just to give a little bit of relief to these people in need.
A guy from Italy.
Hello, I'm Marcello from Italy, and I wanted to ask what is the role of the Balkan countries and Macedonia in particular in facing this crisis? I mean, what do you think could be the role of the Balkan countries? Because to have a proper asylum system is part of the accession to IPA process also is required, and in this particular moment, what could be the role? Is it just like to get the refugees to pass through Macedonia or the Balkans really fast, or there could be actually organized something to ask for asylum, and what could be the role in this sense?
Thank you. Macedonia has an asylum policy, and it's working. So we are counting on an everyday basis the numbers as far as we got to know. How many people are trespassing Macedonia, and we are in a very good working relation with the Ministry of Interior, and I have to say that Macedonia is really doing a good job with the administration, and I'm not speaking about the state of crisis. It was not a state of emergency in the end of August. I think that was something different. But on a daily basis, so the administrative work at the frontier, be it to Greece, Kefgelia, or to Serbia, is well working. So we as an embassy and other embassies as well, we are traveling there, so we are in touch with NGOs if we can help, or we are often asked by German NGOs with whom could we connect to bring our stuff to there. And then we try to channel that directly to other NGOs working on the spot. But I would like to remind, and I think that's quite often forgotten, that Macedonia is doing a good and reliable job there at the frontier. So, and there is an asylum policy. We counted it, my last figure was from Friday, about 62,000 immigrants or refugees passing through Macedonia. Probably that's not the right number, because the registration was not feasible for everybody. Probably perhaps twice more or even more. So from that number, only as far as I know, only 49 persons asked for asylum in Macedonia. They have the right to do so. 49, I heard pregnant women who couldn't get on the way, or people really exhausted after these awful weeks. So it would be feasible, but everybody knows it's not the goal of the migrants to end up in Skopje, but it's north. It's north. So we as an embassy and the Foreign Ministry and the Ministries of Interior, we are on good working terms concerning this route, and we appreciate also what was done in June this year by Macedonia to allow the migrants to use public transport. No? I have been at the frontier in before that, and I've seen the bicycles and the people walking on the street. Then it was feasible with bicycles, but the bicycles have been sold for €300. So the public transport was already a very good move from the Macedonian side to alleviate a little bit the situation. So, of course, Macedonia, like Greece, like Italy, they are overwhelmed, and once again, solidarity, it can't be the job of Italy, Greece, and Hungary as well, to tackle with this flow of refugees. There has to be a European solution for more fair distribution. That's what we are talking about.
Istok?
Yes. Hello, Istok from Slovenia. I would like to ask a question with regards to the comment that you made before, the relating to Juncker's speech, more union in the union. This might not be this question might be different if I had an opportunity to read the speech before. Unfortunately, I haven't. But it will be a bit pessimistic or controversial question. But I think that's why we're here, not to just talk about the nice things. So the question is, do you believe there's a danger, you as an ambassador, a foreign ambassador in a foreign country, with regards to your experiences, do you believe there is a danger that to be trapped, the European Union, to be trapped in the image that it wants to develop and establish with respect to reality, which is that this image of unity, the real unity, does need time, considerable time, and certain processes that need to take place in order for it to be able to be stable and effectively established, and that do you think there is a danger that this image is trying to be established maybe around these processes which could be necessary in order for this kind of image to actually be created? If I'm understood, just to check. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very global, a very, very global question. But from a personal point of view, I'm still an optimist. So, but I have to say, I grew up very near to the Franco-German frontier. So that's just with a bicycle, I could travel to Strasbourg to have a cup of coffee in France. And for me, from a personal point of view, Europe was not a dream. So it's a very big thing and a very valuable thing. So, and I still think it's a huge challenge we are facing. So don't let us underestimate, because there is not only a certain leverage. Not Germany, not France, no country in Europe can tackle with the crisis at the origin. So we are fenced in a way. So it's not enough to show political will. You have to cooperate with others, with the United States. Russia, has a very specific stance on Syria. So the leverage is quite limited. And nonetheless, that's a key question to come to end these awful wars down there. So, but Europe has to face the consequences in a way. But and now the optimistic scenario, I strongly believe that the European Union, thinking of the two values, solidarity and humanity, and not only economics, that's part of it, but that's not at the very core, as I always understood the European Union. With those values in mind, we can overcome the crisis. And I do know that the European Union or European, all these different names across the different decades of the European unification, there have been many crises. And there was a kind of solution found. Often this was disputed to be a shallow compromise. But for me, that's another, I take it as a European value. Compromise is not a negative word. I know here in the country, sometimes there's a different connotation with the word compromise. Compromise is not bad if the two sides are moving together and find a kind of solution. Neither these solutions are perfect, because always somebody is not satisfied. But I like to quote Chancellor Merkel once saying, if everybody is not satisfied with a compromise, then it's perfect. It's part of the game. And I'm convinced there will be a solution. Not a 100%, and it will take some time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, but I wouldn't like to give up the European dream. Not for us and not for this part of the world, the Balkan countries, which are, in my eyes, part of the European unification. Mm-hmm.
Just a very brief question to your answer. Since you, with your answer, opened the international geopolitical question, I'm wondering, on one side we're talking about the unity and unification within Europe, but then again, on the other side, there is also the question, which I very rarely see opened, the unification of the Middle East and those countries, where there are also quite a few countries with enormous financial resources. And that is what we might say their international community, local. And is this? I've been to Lebanon in June, so I've seen the situation, also the spread of the conflict, basically there, especially religious communities. So if this dynamics of lack of unification there is somehow slowly brought in Europe, isn't it actually more difficult to then resolve these things here, whereas at the core the dynamics is still the same? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Of course, it would be naive not to see the developments in not only in the Middle East. Look at the Arab Spring, what happened there. So many difficulties, and of course, as I said, so European Union is a strong power in Europe, and it's the only power in Europe, and no country, not Germany, not Great Britain, no France, would be in that position as we are as a common European Union. So we have to try and can offer our help. And of course, as you said, solutions have to be found in that region as well. It's very difficult. So it's very different. You are speaking about Syria or Libya. So it's a different scenario and different influences. But nonetheless, we have to bring the different processes together.
Okay, I'm probably going to be abusing the conference, putting a question forward, but I would like to ask you something. First, I would like to tell you that one of my colleagues that lives in Gevgelia, which is on the frontier with Greece, went to visit to see the refugees over there, and one of the refugees said, how is life in Macedonia? And he says, well, what is the average salary? And he says, well, about 250 euro. Really? You should come with us, he said. So, this is the point of Macedonia. Definitely, Macedonia is not a destination country in this respect. But I was wondering, because as part of the enlargement strategy, we have now, we know that chapter 23 and 24 are the two chapters that need to be opened first. And we are stuck in the waiting room because of the name issue with Greece. Because this is chapter 24 actually, the security and the asylum business this is all within. Don't you think that it would be logical to start the negotiations? Now it's a completely different political situation. And can this be part of the Berlin process, seen within the Berlin process itself? Because, as you said previously, I think that there is a big the Berlin process has been misunderstood immensely by the economic governance. Most of the people in the region think that we're talking about economic development, which is not the same thing. This is just, I'm interested, do you think that maybe the starting of negotiations of Macedonia with chapter 24 and 23 could be something that could be pushed within the framework of the Berlin process? And the second question, and I have a second question. Previously, we spoke here in in this room about the involvement and the role of NGOs in monitoring the accession process. Now there is a fantastic, once-in-a-lifetime strategy for Southeast Europe 2020, which is developed by all of the regions of the Southeast Europe, and it is a great strategy, and it is a strategy that has been developed by all of the countries in the region, but I do not see any kind of inkling that there could be any kind of monitoring on the part of the NGOs to monitor the progress within the implementation of this strategy, although there are indicators. There isn't money available, and I really don't think that the countries are going to get together and give any kind of open and transparent accountability process of how far they've gone. So do you think that it makes sense through the multi-beneficiary EPO, through whatever kind of sources, maybe even bilateral assistance, that it makes sense for NGOs to get more involved in the monitoring of the Southeast European strategy? I speak too much. Obviously, I'm a politician.
Thank you, Lydia.
Yeah, as a non-politician, I try to answer briefly. So the opening of chapter 23, 24. You know, there is, of course, a name issue, but there are other problems as well. Interior, homemade problems within Macedonia. And I think it's not enough to say there's a name issue. You know what I'm speaking about. So we have an internal crisis going on for many months. I really do hope there will be not a solution, but going on the path of 2nd June and 15th of July agreement. So because we need the 7th recommendation, you are totally right. So Macedonia is waiting for years. There have been 6 EU Commission recommendations already, and another one is waiting in October. No? But this recommendation, you perfectly know, you are the specialist, is bound to the interior progress build-up of the country. I think you are right in saying that you have to look, more creative thinking should be needed. How to engage Macedonia more into this in the EU process. There are many tools. You know about pre-accession tools, money given by EPA. So sometimes even too much money. So because it's not administered and it's given back, but there are many tools. So it's not a start from the scratch. But what I wanted to underline that there are internal problems as well. It's not easy to say we are going to start the negotiation process. There is a special scenario. You need the EU Commission's recommendation, and let's wait and see what will happen in October. Your other question concerning NGOs. So I found it really thrilling this in April, May this year, what happened with civil society. It was kind of, blossoming. And you said it's, the whole NGO society is not capable. I cannot judge about that. So I wondered why it disappeared. I hope it's not disappeared. Money. It's not about it. Okay, I think we have to go on later with our discussion. So, money, of course, is a point, but it's not, in my view. But I'm the foreigner. Perhaps I'm speaking about colors like a blind person. So, I think it's not only about money. It's the mindset. It's also courage. I know it affords a lot of courage to work as an NGO or as a journalist, but money is one thing, but coordination, coming together, it's another thing. So, but we can discuss that in more detail. I would like to learn from you how you judge. That's always an open question to us. How is the situation now, 4 months after the demonstration, within the civil NGO sector? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ambassador. Thank you for being here with us. And I would like to ask you now for one group photography with the participants. After that, we will continue with the next session with Mr. Christopoulos.